Today's first myth came in via request, and it poses the question of whether or not there's any truth behind the story that the band Joy Division formed after the band members met each other at a Sex Pistols show. Now, I'm just gonna cut to the chase on this one because there's a lot of story behind it, but at its core, this one is totally false. This story actually dates back to July 20th, 1976 at a Sex Pistols show in Manchester. And 3 of the 4 band members that would eventually be part of Joy Division were in the audience, but they were there separately. Peter Hook and Bernard Sumner were longtime friends, and they attended the show together. But Ian Curtis was also at the show, though he came with his wife, completely unaware that the other 2 were there. At that time, Sumner and Hook were trying to put a band together, and in later years, they would cite that show as the night they really decided to go after it. However, while the 3 of them had definitely seen each other at gigs around the city, Ian Curtis was not a member of the band until he answered an ad that was posted on a record store where the band was looking for a vocalist. More to that, Stephen Morris doesn't even enter the picture until a number of months later. So while 3 of the 4 band members were at the show, and that might have been the show that catapulted the band into existence, they did not meet on that night, nor did Joy Division actually form on that night. My second myth today came in via my Facebook page, and it poses the age-old question of whether or not Ozzy Osbourne actually snorted a line of ants. Yes, ants. Throughout the 1980s, Ozzy's antics are nothing short of legendary, and while a lot of them have been stretched and a lot of them have just been completely fabricated, this one is actually completely true. That is, at least assuming that you believe Ozzy, his entourage, the guys from Motley Crue at the time, and then of course there is that part that Sharon Osbourne wrote about it in her book. This all went down on the equally legendary 1984 tour where Ozzy joined Motley Crue. And one evening, the musicians in both bands got into a contest to see who could do the craziest thing. For Motley Crue fans, this is the exact same night when Nikki Sixx set himself on fire. And not to be outdone, Ozzy Osbourne went outside of the hotel, he found a line of ants out on the pavement, and he snorted them. Some retellings of the story claim that the ants then came out of his mouth, some people claim that they were fire ants. There's a lot of small differences in how this story's told. But regardless of the details, at its core, Ozzy snorting ants absolutely happened. Our final myth today also came in via request, and it questions the truth behind the story that in the 1980s, a lot of sponsors of Alex Van Halen actually dropped him because of the way he modulated his drum sound in a number of songs. This one has popped up here and there a number of times over the past few decades, but the fact of the matter is there's no truth to it whatsoever. Yeah, there are some effects that you can hear in the drums throughout the first couple Van Halen albums, but the reality is Alex has been loyal to almost every single one of his sponsors since the late 70s. He's changed bits and pieces here and there, but the other side of this is that no sponsor in their right mind would have pulled out of anything to do with Van Halen in the 80s because they were pretty much the biggest band on earth. So while it might seem cool and make for a good story, this one is total myth. So those are the myths for this week. Be sure to check back here every week as I delve into some of the coolest stories in music history. If you've got a story you want me to look into, email me at thedailyguru@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook right here, and I'll see you guys again next time.